Ahead on the news at 6, you don't have to blow a .08 on a breathalyzer test to get hit with a DUI charge. We'll tell you about one Georgia law that could put a lot of people behind bars on Memorial Day.
And so far, so good with our Memorial Day weather. We're going to have the latest on what to expect for you coming up here in just a few minutes.
And good evening to you on this Memorial Day. Thank you so much for joining us on Newsletter 9 at 6. I'm Jason Dennis. Barbara is off tonight. Well, it's been a beautiful day out there, Memorial Day, and it means a lot of folks are enjoying some free time out on the beach, the lake, and really anywhere outside. Here's a live look out at the Chattahoochee River, where crowds of residents have been hanging out all weekend. The weather's been really great today, at least around here. I know they got some rain up north, actually putting the Braves game on delay for a couple of hours, Derek. So what about tonight? Folks maybe still grilling out, spending time with some family out there?
Well, so far so good around here. We haven't seen any showers or storms pop up nearby, but we're in that kind of weather pattern where that's what happens this time of year. Sometimes those isolated storms go up. They don't last for very long. That's the good news. Let's show you the radar network out there. Going back over the last few hours, you can see those storms up in the Atlanta area, and then south and east of Atlanta. Big storms rolling through Edenton. That's just to the north and east of Macon, but here close to home, fairly dry weather. Did have a shower over in Taylor County that turned into a storm briefly with some lightning and thunder, but again, it is out of the picture now as well. Most spots around here dry, and we'll keep that dry forecast going for you for at least the next hour or so in most spots. Now, temperatures have dropped back a little bit. We're at 88 in Columbus, 86 degrees in Auburn, 90 in Montgomery, and 90 over in Albany as well. 71, by the way, down in Dothan, where they have a nearby storm. So if you haven't seen showers or storms, those temperatures back in the 80s. It's going to stay mild this evening. We should be around 78 degrees by 10 o'clock tonight. And we'll be talking more about what to expect as we move you through the rest of the week in your forecast coming up a bit later on in the newscast. Jason?
All right, look forward to that. Thank you, Derek. Americans marked Memorial Day by remembering the sacrifice of fallen service members. Just hours after arriving back to Washington from his surprise trip to Afghanistan, President Obama laid a wreath at the Tomb of the Unknowns at Arlington National Cemetery. ABC News' Karen Travers has more from D.C. on how Americans were honoring those who gave their lives for our country.
Festive parades and somber ceremonies across the nation to honor Americans who made the ultimate sacrifice. Madison, Wisconsin.
Days like today will bring me back to when I was over there. It helps me appreciate even the stuff that my grandfather did and stuff my dad did. I'm a third-generation Marine.
Durham, North Carolina.
A lot of people have forgotten, and I think it's time we start remembering again.
And Texas, where a 7-year-old Cub Scout carefully placed flowers at grave sites with his grandfather, a Vietnam vet.
It meant that he cared about so many people giving their lives for our country.
At Arlington National Cemetery, President Obama laid a wreath at the Tomb of the Unknowns. He later singled out the children of Staff Sergeant Michael Cardenas, who was killed in Afghanistan 4 years ago, promising them and all the children of the fallen.
You will never walk alone. Your country will be there to help you grow up into the young men and women your parents always knew you would be.
Memorial Day honors the men and women who died while serving their country, but the president also spoke about America's veterans and touched on the recent controversy about misconducts and mistreatment at VA hospitals around the nation.
We've been reminded in recent days we must do more to keep faith with our veterans and their families and ensure they get the care and benefits and opportunities that they've earned and that they deserve.
President Obama also said that America's veterans have done their duty. Now it's time for America to do the same for them. Karen Travers, ABC News, Washington.
And while many are spending the Memorial Day weekend with friends and family, enjoying some good food perhaps, catching those driving under the influence is always top of mind for law enforcement officers. There are two types of alcohol-related DUI charges, a per se DUI and a less safe DUI. Now, a per se one is when the blood alcohol level of the driver is greater than the legal limit, which is .08. A less safe DUI is what often confuses many folks. This is when the driver is less safe to drive as a result of drinking alcohol or consuming drugs.
You can still be charged well below the .08 level. And again, in our school here, we see people getting convicted with as little as .04 all the way up to .07 on the less than safe. And that's usually coupled with some evidence of sporadic driving, reckless driving, high-speed driving. More often we'll find it in association with a wreck or vehicle collision. If someone's charged with a .02, .03, it'd be very hard for the prosecution to prove that the alcohol was a contributing factor in that wreck.
Barber says the outcome and the penalties are the same for a less safe DUI and a per se DUI. He also says once a person is charged with DUI, he or she will go to jail, and that DUI charge never leaves your record. Well, drinking not only a problem on the road, but also out on the water. Marine police who patrol the lakes say Memorial Day weekend is the busiest time of the year, and they make safety a top priority.
In Alabama, the BUI laws are synonymous with the DUI laws. The penalties are the same. Just recently, the legislature passed an act which would bring in line the boating fatalities. If there's an accident with fatalities and alcohol's involved, they now will serve the same penalty as somebody operating on a highway.
It concerns me more for our safety. You know, if it's somebody's in a boat and they don't, you know, they're drunk and they don't know what they're doing, they can come and you know, hit you in the lake. So yeah, it's always a concern.
If you do plan to head out on a boat, here's a few things to make sure of. Remember to have proper registration for yourself and your vessel. Also make sure you have a life vest for everyone who is with you. Keep in mind, children who are under 8 years old must wear a life jacket at all times while out on the water. And of course, there's always the warning about drinking. Officials say water and alcohol do not mix well together. Boating under the influence is illegal, and the illegal limit is the same for driving your car, 0.08%. Coming up, more than 200 girls kidnapped by a militant group in Nigeria have been located. Up next, we'll tell you why officials in that nation say they won't be going in to get the schoolgirls just yet. Plus, a party at the newly opened 9/11 Memorial Museum has some family members fired up. Straight ahead, hear why some are calling the party sacrilege.